This session is all about the module Sign Up API creation. By end of this tutorial, you will learn how to set up the backend functionality to enable user sign up and handle data storage. To create API, open Eclipse and create a new Spring Starter project. For creating a new Spring Starter project, go to the File menu, then choose New Spring Starter project. Then provide a project name here, Job Portal. Then choose the project type as Maven project and make sure the Java version 21 and packaging type is where. Then provide a group name. Let me provide the group name as KLU and package name. Then click on next. Choose the dependencies. Spring Web, Spring DevTools, Spring Data JPA, MySQL driver, and Java Mail Sender. Then click on next and finish. Let us wait if any background process is running. Now the project is ready, we can start work on this. Expand the project folder from Project Explorer, then go to form.xml, add dependency for converting Java object to JSON. Open your browser and go to the website mvnrepository.com. There you can search by using the keyword JSON. Then click on the link, then choose the latest version and copy the dependency details. Return back to your form.xml file and find out the tag dependencies. Inside, we can paste the dependency which is copied from mvnrepository.com. So this is the dependency help us to convert Java object to JSON. So after copy paste the dependency into form.xml, try to save. It will give a warning error on the version number. So remove version number. It's not required for Spring Boot applications. Then save. Now there is no error in the form.xml file. Save and close form.xml. If we make any changes in form.xml, immediately we need to update our project. For updation, right click on the project name, then choose the option Maven Update Project and enable the checkbox for force update, then click on OK. Once the updation is completed, then we can start implementation. Then go to Java resources and expand the build path src main Java. There we can see the main package. By right click on the main package, create a required number of packages for implementing and creating API for sign up module. Right click on the base package, then choose the option new package and create a package with the name KLU.controller. Then repeat the same procedure to create a model package and then create a package called repository. Make sure all the three packages comes under the base package KLU. Once all the packages are created, right click on your base package and refresh. Then we can start implementation. Go to the package KLU.model and create a new Java class and enter the class name as users. Then finish. I'm going to use this class as an entity class so that I'm going to add the annotation @entity. Then @table. Map with database table name. In my database, I want to create a table with the name users. As per the front end, we need to declare the data members for collecting user data and save those information into the database. So let me create string full name of the user and then string email int role string password. In the previous session, we designed the front end for sign up. There we added the input text fields to get inputs from user, their full name, email address, role, and then password. So that I created four data members here: full name, email, role, and then password. Here I'm going to use email as a primary key. So we need to add the annotation @ID. Then map the data members with the database table column names by adding the annotation @column and the name of the column equal to full name. So map email ID with the database table column name, email. Then map user role with the database table column name, role, and then map password with the database table column name, password. Then generate getter and setter for these data members. By right click on the file name in Project Explorer, then go to the option source, then choose generate getter and setter. Click on select all button here, then generate. Then generate toString method for this entity class. That toString method will help us for testing using a Postman tool. So right click on the file name users.java and choose the option source, then select generate toString. By default, all the data members are selected here. Just click on the generate button. It will add a toString method to the entity class. Then save the class users.java. Then create another Java class for implementation. Before proceeding with implementation, create a repository in the package repository. By right click on the repository package, then add a new interface. So just name the interface as users repository. Then add the annotation @repository. Apply inheritance with JPA repository. So use the keyword extends JPA repository. Here we need to provide the entity class name. Just now we created an entity class with the name users. It is available in the package klu.model. Then we need to provide the data type of primary key. In the entity class users.java, I'm using email as a primary key. So there, what is the data type I used? String is the data type I used for the primary key email. So here we need to provide the data type of primary key. String is the data type for email. So now the repository is ready. Then we can start implementation by adding a new Java class in the package klu.model. So right click on the package klu.model and create a new Java class. Enter the file name as users manager. Now the class is added into the package model. Then we can start implementation. Make this class as a service class by adding the annotation @service. Inside, create object for the repository by implementing a context and dependency injection by adding the annotation @autowired. Then create object for users repository. I just name the object as UR. Then create a method to perform insert operation into the database. Public with return type string. I just name the method as add user by taking entity class object as a parameter. Users object named as U. Then use object of the user repository. Then we can call the predefined method save and pass the parameter object as an input. This method will perform insert operation into the database. Then return the acknowledgement user registered successfully. Go to the package controller, create a REST API. So right click on the package controller and add a new Java class. I just name this controller as users controller. Make this plain Java class as a REST controller by adding the annotation @REST controller. Then set root API for this controller @request mapping. Set root API for this controller. So users is the API name I given for this controller. Next, create object for the manager class by using @AutoWire. Then create object for users manager. Just name the object as UM. Then create a endpoint using @post mapping and set service name here /signup. Then create a method public with return type string, method name signup, and take input from the request body, so that we need to add the annotation @request body and take JSON data in the form of Java object here. So already we have a entity class users. So create object for the entity class users. So whatever data we are submitting in the form of JSON from request body, that will be converted into the Java object here. Then return by using the object of user manager and call the method which we implemented in users manager. Add user and pass input as a parameter. Then save. Now the implementation is over. Next, we need to do database configuration. Go to the build path src main resources and open application.properties file. Here we can add the properties for MySQL configuration. So I just added the command line MySQL configuration. First property need to be added is driver class name. Just start typing driver class name, you can get it. Spring data source dot driver hyphen class hyphen name. The driver class name for MySQL is com.mysql.cj.jdbc driver. In this D capital letter. Next, add another property called URL. So the actual value is spring.datasource.url equal to jdbc://mysql:/localhost port number of MySQL 3306. Then we need to provide the database name. So providing a database name, we must create a database in MySQL. Next, I'm going to create a database in MySQL. So open MySQL Workbench and connect with your database. Left hand side, we have the navigator panel. There we can create a new schema. So right click here and choose the option create schema and provide the schema name. So let me provide the schema name as job portal. Then apply and click on apply to execute the script, then finish. Now the new database schema is added. Then expand it and go to the tables. Tables will be added automatically based on the entity class we implemented in Spring Boot application. So return back to your Spring Boot application and provide the database name here, job portal. Then provide username for the database, spring.datasource.username equal to root. Root is the default username for MySQL database. Then provide a password. Spring.datasource.password equal to, you can provide your MySQL database password. This is the password I provided at the time of installing MySQL database in my system. So you need to provide your MySQL database password. Then add configuration for JPA Hibernate. Just search by typing ddl-auto. You will get spring.jpa.hibernate.ddl-auto equal to update. we can provide two type of value for this property. One is create and another one is update. If you provide the value create, each and every deployment, it recreate all the tables in the database based on your entity class. If you provide the value as update, it first check with your database whether the table is exist or not. If table is exist, it won't create the table again. So now all the properties are added in application.properties file to configure with MySQL database. Then we can test the API by start deploying the project. Right click on the project name, then go to the option run as Spring Boot app. Once it is deployed, note down the port number where it is running. Go to the console, note down the port number from last second line. It is running with the port number 8080. Then open Postman tool. You can provide the URL http://localhost port number 8080 slash, then provide root API to test the microservice. Note on the API name and service name. So API name is users, then service name is sign up, and provide input in the form of JSON. To provide inputs in the form of JSON, you need to go to the tab body, then choose raw, and input format is JSON. So here you can provide a JSON data. JSON means it should be enclosed with open and closed braces. Go to entity class, note down the data members, full name, email, role, and password. In this four, role is declared as an integer, remaining all three declared as a string. So copy this key, go to Postman tool, full name, and provide value for full name, comma, and second one, email. So provide email here. Then third one, role. It is an integer data type, so we can provide integer value. In front end, I created a drop down. In that drop down, I created three options. One is for admin, two for employer, and three for job seeker. So let me create this user as a admin. That's why I given the value for role as 1. Since it is an integer value, there is no necessity to enclose with double quotes. Then the last one is password. So user can set their password from their front end. So let me set the password as 123. Now I'm going to submit my input to this URL by click on send button here. Then I can get a response user registered successfully. Let us verify the same with the database. Go to MySQL Workbench and right click on the tables refresh. Now we can see the table users. The table is created automatically. Then try to execute a select query for this table. There we can see the data which I submitted from Postman 2. Email ID is there, full name, password, and role. Let me test by providing another input with the same mail ID. Now we will check whether the data is inserted into the table or not. Now I'm submitting another input with the same email address. I'm getting the acknowledgement user registered successfully. And go to database and execute a select query, but the data not yet inserted because email ID used as a primary key. It won't allow any duplicate value to be saved in the database. It should be handled properly. So go to the file usersmanager.java where we perform the insert operation into the database. There we need to validate whether the mail ID is already available in the database or not. If it is already available, you need to return the acknowledgement as mail ID already exists. Then otherwise you can allow them to perform insert operation into the database, then return the acknowledgement as user registered successfully. For validation, you need to go to the user repository.java and write a JPA query for validating the particular email ID is already present in the table or not. Let me create a JPA query here, @query. Here we can write a query, select count of u from the entity class users and object is u, where u.email matched with the parameter email. Then public int validate email and take a parameter param email. The parameter data type is string and parameter variable name email. End with semicolon. So the query will return number of record present in the table based on the given email address. So if the count value is 0, that means there is no record found for this particular email ID. If the count value is greater than 1, the record is found. That means the email ID already registered by someone. So based on this value, we can validate the email address. Then go to user manager.java. Here we can apply the constraint if from user repository, there is a function we added validate email and provide email for verification. So your inputs, the user inputs are available in the parameter u. So u dot get email. This validate email method will return an integer value. If the value is greater than 0, that means the mail ID already present in the database. So the new user cannot use the same mail ID to register again. So we can return the acknowledgement email already exists. If this condition fails, then we can allow them to execute the remaining two statements. This statement will perform insert operation into the database. Finally, it returns the acknowledgement user registered successfully. So let us test the API again. Save changes, go to the Postman tool. Now I'm going to submit the same input with the same mail ID, which is already available in the database. If I click on submit, I'm getting an acknowledgement email already exists. If I provide a new email address here, then I try to submit, it will perform insert operation into the database so that I'm getting an acknowledgement user registered successfully. Let us verify the same in the database table. Go to MySQL Workbench and execute select query for the table users. Now there are two records in the table. Now we created an API using a Spring Boot to handle the backend logic for sign up module. The integration of API with front end will be covered in the next session.